Good morning, David.
Morning, Les. How you doing?
Good, man.
So this is dynamic healing moment, and again, we are acknowledging the interaction between the environment and who you are. And our goal is to keep your body chemistry in a neutral or safe zone. And so your body's in constant threat physiology. You're agitated, and one thing that you cannot do is sleep. And we mentioned yesterday how important sleep is. There's a higher correlation with disability with sleep than there is with actual pain. And we all know if you can't sleep, life isn't good. And sleep was the first thing that caught my attention in the doc journey because surgeons don't really address that. We're recommending major spine surgeries without getting people to sleep. But one step further than that, 40% of Americans don't sleep well, especially in chronic pain. People want to blame the pain for the lack of sleep. It's the other way around. Lack of sleep actually causes pain. So then people will do some pretty dramatic measures to get to sleep, but they won't cover the basics. So there's a concept called sleep hygiene that I'm going to just read a list to you. Dr. Arya is going to just focus on one or two of those. But the message today is look, there's basic things to do before you start going drastic. And if you're serious about sleep, at least cover this list. Okay, so here we go. Oh, I'm going to say it more clearly. If you're serious about healing, get some sleep. If you're serious about sleep, please cover these basic concepts. So here they are, just a list, been well established for about 30 years. Okay, do not get into bed until you are ready to fall asleep. Watch TV, reading in another room. Don't drink any caffeine. Do not drink any caffeine after noon. Minimize alcohol intake in the evening. You will fall asleep, but you will not stay asleep. No heavy exercise in the evenings. Remove any clocks from the room. Do something relaxing just before going to bed. If you are hungry, have a light snack. Concentrate on relaxing each muscle group in your body from head to toe. So one final point before I turn this over to my guru, Dr. Arya. And you know that sleep is something that I just struggle with all the time. It's just an ongoing issue. So I might get a week of great sleep, all of a sudden, bam. So this week I'm struggling. So two things is that the ability to get a good night's sleep takes a definite downturn at age 25 and at age 45, but adults still need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So it's rather perverse. So Dr. Arya, how do I get to sleep?
Yeah, firstly, before, how about we build upon yesterday? I love the list. I think the list, if people feel, and David will have the list available right to folks.
Right.
And so, folks can start just like anything. You can start with some one piece if need be. But sleep hygiene, that was great. The list that you read out, it's important. Let's go back to yesterday. Were you able to, or can the audience actually, like I said, messages and leave a comment below is, did you try the odd even technique? David, were you able to try that and what was the effect?
Well, I was cynical. I wanted drugs, but I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, which is a little early. I know that's your usual rising time, but for me that's a little early. And I did. I tried to remember what you said. I go, okay, odd, even, countdown. So eyes open, eyes closed. So I started with eyes open, eyes closed. And by the time I hit 92 or 90, I was asleep. And I woke up about a half an hour later. And normally I would have laid there for an hour. I was shocked.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I get to try it again tonight.
Yeah, so that's a great, and that's and just a nice reminder is one of the biggest feedback on the list, anywhere on the list. I wanted to mention is don't fight. So one of the things we do is when we are awake or become awakened or we have difficulty falling asleep, inducting, or early morning awakenings. Either way, the big message here is this: is the moment you resist your reality, like like why can I not fall asleep? Or why am I awake? And we toss and turn. That's where the problem begins.
Right.
And so what we want to do, much like physical pain, we don't want to fight it when it shows up. We want to actually welcome the unwelcome. So the different skill sets. So yesterday we talked the odd and even. One of the things that you mentioned is don't go to bed until you are sleepy, until you feel that, what I call the bobbing of the head, right? You're
Right.
tired. One of the things to do in that is to help you prepare for sleep is to actually dial the body down. So dial the mind down and just simply just focusing on your breath as you lay there. So you can sit there on the couch or wherever you are. And if you actually just kind of just did some slow breathing, and just slow things down. And when you get into bed, you brush your teeth and all that stuff. It will actually help. So when you're laying in bed, as to help you induct into sleep, just really putting one hand on your belly and just watching the rise and fall of your breath will short of saying hypnotize you into that induction. It is just a nice way to leave the mind and come to the body. And that actually gives the brain something to focus on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of interesting because you don't fall asleep because your body is fired up. I mean, you're not sleeping because it's quote psychological, but your adrenaline's up, your cortisol's up, your heart is racing, your mind is racing, and you're inflamed. And of course, you can't sleep. So we somehow think that's a psychological construct. And of course, my wife gives me grief about this. I do. I get upset about not sleeping because I know I'm going to be tired the next day. So I don't want to be tired. So I'm sitting there, I'm laying there upset because I'm not sleeping. And so we're going to talk about later this week some other issues that are more specific. But there's at least 20 things you can do to get sleep, and some of them include medications. But I do think the message is really working on calming yourself down. So everything you're doing here is about calming yourself down. For instance, don't drink any caffeine until afternoon. So I have a close friend of mine who drinks 9 cups of coffee a day.
Wow.
He's upset because he can't sleep.
You're not talking about me, are you?
You're young. And you're just a better human being than I am. Yeah. So, okay, so honestly, people, we just have habit patterns that we don't think about. So I think what the sleep hygiene list does, it just breaks it up a little bit to say, okay, what am I really doing to calm myself down?
Yeah.
So there's 2 parts of the message today. One is look at the things that are keeping you awake and look at those. Then I liked what Dr. Arya said is connect to your body. And I like that that technique. Can we do that one again today? I think that's a phenomenal technique because it combines mindfulness and the breath work in the same thing. That's a great tool. So I would remind people that, well, 2 things. If you review that hand technique, but also just review the countdown from 100 really briefly for the group. I think that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things, and we'll keep adding on as the week, so as you join us the next day and the next day, we'll keep adding to this. So just to kind of review this is, I'm going to switch it up since this is sleep. So what David is talking about is, if you hopefully go back and watch one of those videos, is a nice way to kind of get your mind and body is, basically you take your finger, and as you breathe in, you go up your thumb, and as you breathe out, you feel. So you're feeling and breathing. As you breathe in, you go up at the top, you pause, and as you breathe out, you come down. So now when you're sleeping, someone might say like, this is going to activate me, or this is a great tool to use maybe even before getting into bed. But when you're in bed, let me add a little bit, let me modify this a little bit. Imagine this is my belly, and I have my hands on my belly. This is my belly.
Okay.
Just for visual purposes. My hand is on my belly. So as you breathe in, lift the thumb up. And as you breathe out, you're basically going to use your fingers and your breath to coordinate. And as you breathe, so belly is moving up, your thumb goes up. And you'll repeat that from your thumb all the way to your pinky, come back to your thumb. And at some point you will drift off. So that is a modification. David, any questions before I go over to the odd even? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just want to remind the audience that what you're doing is what you call hypnosis is actually just stimulating the vagus nerve, which is very powerfully anti-inflammatory. This is not some type of psychological magic. You're directly stimulating the anti-inflammatory effect of the vagus nerve. So breathing does that, mindfulness work does that, and so you're just trying to we're trying to connect your mind and your body and get the whole unit to relax. So yeah, let's go to the odd even one. That was pretty remarkable. Not that I doubted you for a second. I mean, you are a guru.
Just like a true surgeon doubting.
There's probably some penalty in life for doubting a guru, right?
I don't know about that. So here's the not getting sleep. That's what it'll be, the penalty. So for those of you who joined us yesterday, hopefully you got this. And here's another review. Again, try it. Maybe you want to take a quick, you just want to dial things down. You don't have to be in bed, but this is, since we're talking about sleep. Here's how it goes. Let's just say your eyes are closed. That's 100. So this is called the odd even technique. You can change it up any which way you want. So for example, the eyes are closed. And so you say 100. When you hear an odd number, 99, eyes open. 98, you're counting down, eyes closed. 97, eyes open. And you'd continue that all the way through. Again, doesn't matter when your eyes are closed and odd, or it doesn't matter. Do what works for you. Either way, start at 100, eyes open or closed, but just kind of assign that and then just alternate back and forth. The counting down is key, and the opening and closing of your eyes is key. And again, so if you happen to wake up 30 minutes later, do it again. This is a pattern we want to train the brain that all is well, go to sleep.
Right.
So.
It's about safety versus threat, and these are remarkable techniques. And I just want to say one other thing about your breathing techniques. I was shocked. I looked at a research paper a while back, and just slow breathing, not even special breathing, just breathing less than 10 breaths per minute, actually stimulates the vagus nerve, because we normally breathe around 14 to 16 breaths per minute. So just slow breathing, not even paying attention to your breath, stimulates the vagus nerve. So all these things are very powerful. And again, you're not sleeping because your brain's on fire. What you're doing, you're dousing the flames. So thank you, Dr. Arya. I feel enlightened right now. What if I fall asleep during the day today all day? What if I don't get my work done?
You know what? That's all right. We have tomorrow to work on it.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate your attention. This is Dynamic Healing with Moments with Dr. Les Arya and myself. I can be found at thedocjourney.com. And Dr. Arya, where can you be found?
You can find me on remedypain.co or the mindfulness channel on YouTube. That's with a Y. So,
I mean, the doc journey has been effective for years without the breathing techniques, but it's added just a tremendous dimension to this whole process. So I'm pretty excited. I'm very excited about this. And thank you.
Have a good morning, everyone.